Hello friends, today's topic is about fetal hemoglobin. Already we have seen that different types of hemoglobin. So in adult this fetal hemoglobin is just 1%. But at the time of birth 80% of hemoglobin are of a fetal hemoglobin variety. So this fetal hemoglobin have a main role during embryonic life as well as at the time of birth. So what is the significance of this fetal hemoglobin and how this fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin formation occurring, that we will look in this video, as well as genetic basis of shifting of this fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin, that also we will try to understand from this picture. So this picture that is showing different globin chain production in the prenatal age as well as postnatal age. Prenatal age means embryonic life. So during embryonic life, alpha chain production is started and that will be remain or continue throughout the life. Now this gamma chain which is present in this fetal hemoglobin, that is also just start to produce just after the alpha chain, but this gamma chain that is predominantly during embryonic life, but after the birth that will gradually decreasing. During the time of birth still there is a gamma chain production is higher as compared to the beta chain. Why I am talking about beta chain? Because in adult hemoglobin alpha chain and beta chain is present. So this picture or this graph that is showing how these different fetal hemoglobin and adult hemoglobin are predominantly during prenatal age and postnatal age. Now further in detail of this fetal hemoglobin, so we have seen that fetal hemoglobin that is containing 2 alpha and 2 gamma chain. Now main difference in relation to the fetal hemoglobin and adult hemoglobin are as under. So basically this deoxyfetal hemoglobin is more soluble, slower electrophoretic mobility of this fetal hemoglobin when this electrophoresis run for the hemoglobin. Further, this fetal hemoglobin is more resistant to the alkali denaturation. They are the just physical difference related to the adult hemoglobin. Now, main significance is that fetal hemoglobin is predominantly required to provide oxygen to the fetus. So basically what happens? Oxygen is taken by the mother. This oxygen is present in the maternal blood. Now this maternal blood will cross the placenta and this will provide the oxygen to the fetus. And for that particular important molecule is needed, and that is possible with the help of fetal hemoglobin. So that important molecule, that is fetal hemoglobin. Now it is possible with the help of fetal hemoglobin because that fetal hemoglobin has decreased interaction with the 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Now this 2,3-BPG has an important role for the oxygen delivery by this hemoglobin. This increased availability of oxygen is physiologically advantage in facilitating the transplacental oxygen transport. So basically this fetal hemoglobin is needed for the providing oxygen to the fetus, and that is significance of the fetal hemoglobin. And it is possible with the help of no interaction or decreased interaction of this fetal hemoglobin with the 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So this oxygen dissociation is understood with the help of ODC, that is oxygen dissociation curve, that we will discuss later on. But at present you have to remember the oxygen dissociation curve of this fetus and newborn are always shifted to the left side, and that is providing less oxygen to the tissue, and this less providing of oxygen that is helping to reach oxygen up to the fetal tissue. So the major reason of this left side shifting, that is diminished binding of this fetal hemoglobin to the 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate. Now further interesting thing is that when partial pressure of oxygen is just 20 mm of Hg, means very low pressure of oxygen, but even that time fetal hemoglobin is 50% saturated, and that is reached up to the fetus and oxygen can be delivered to the fetal tissue. So the synthesis of fetal hemoglobin start by the 7th week of gestation and it becomes the predominant by the 28th week of the gestation. So at the time of birth 80% of hemoglobin are the fetal hemoglobin variety, but just after the birth during the first 6 months of the life it decreased to about just 5% of the total hemoglobin. So fetal hemoglobin level may remain elevated in children with anemia. Suppose there is some congenital type of deformity, sickle cell anemia, or already hemoglobin level is less, or adult hemoglobin formation is affected, or sometimes there is a beta thalassemia or hemoglobinopathies. During this situation this fetal hemoglobin level is remain higher side, and that is called a compensatory mechanism. So as a compensatory mechanism this fetal hemoglobin level will be remain higher. Now what is the genetical basis of switching of this fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin, that we will try to understand. So the molecular basis of this switching from basically gamma chain to beta chain. So what is present in fetal hemoglobin? 2 alpha and 2 gamma chain. What is present in HbA, that is 2 alpha and 2 beta chain. So alpha chain is common, just difference that is related to the gamma chain to the beta chain production. So if we are able to understand this switching of this gamma chain to beta chain, that will give idea about switching of fetal hemoglobin to the adult hemoglobin. So that is not completely understood, but some theory suggesting of this switching procedure. So recent study have shown the regulatory effect of this transcription factor like KLF1, that is Kruppel-like factor 1, and BCL2A, that is beta cell lymphoma or leukemia 2A. Now this factor have a repressive effect over the gamma chain. So this gamma chain is related to the fetal hemoglobin, but this factor which is produced, that is KLF1 and BCL2A, which will repress the further production of gamma chain, and that will lead to the switching of this fetal hemoglobin to adult hemoglobin, as well as this repressive effect lead to the more production of the beta chain. Further, the in relation to this study, one more study, there is a using gene knockout in the mice that explore the expression of this gamma chain gene in beta thalassemia as well as in sickle cell anemia. So basically sickle cell and beta thalassemia, there is affected of this particular adult hemoglobin formation. So there is a one more technique is there, RNA interference. Basically RNA interference that will helping to remove this KLF1 gene effect. So KLF1, that is Kruppel-like factor 1, that is reducing gamma chain production, that this particular KLF1 factor that will be reduced, or effect of this KLF1 that will be reduced with the help of RNA interference. So RNA interference that is help to reduce the effect of this KLF1 factor, and that will helping to more production of gamma chain, and that is positively regulate this BCL2A also, and that all over helping to more production of the fetal hemoglobin. So KLF positively regulate BCL2A, that is helping for the more production of gamma chain, and which binds directly to the beta globin chain locus. So all over this theory are suggesting of switching of this fetal hemoglobin to the adult hemoglobin. Basically this KLF and this BCL factor, they are repressing over this fetal hemoglobin formation, and they are responsible for the further promoting of adult hemoglobin formation. So that's all about the importance or significance of the fetal hemoglobin in our